Hello and welcome to another stamp class with me, Elizabeth. Today it is time for our Notes of Nature, featuring the Notes of Nature bundle, but it's the Nature Sweetness Sweet Collection that we're taking a look at today. So happy to be here and to be stamping with you all. I am going to just officially begin. Oh, my sweet friend from the UK has popped on. You're the first one on, Kim. And so welcome, Kim. And I always say once I have somebody watching, that's my cue to officially begin with good Thursday morning and welcome to Technique Time. This is my biggest class of the month where you can purchase or earn a kit, and I send these out to you so that we can all create together. Hello, Karen, she's watching as well. Glad to have you guys both here, and I'm sure maybe a few others will pop on as well. And some of you, thanks for jumping on and watching the replay, if you watch the replay. Hello, Lori Healy, good to see you as well. I'm gonna go ahead and flip my camera so that we can begin with just a little bit of business, and then we'll jump right into what we're here to do today, and that is to stamp with the Notes of Nature bundle. Here we go, here comes the hand. Sorry about that. One of these days we're gonna figure out how to not have this, right? Oops, and I'm twisting the wrong button. Come on, there we go. My stand was being a little persnickety. Okay, hold on. Wrong button. Usually that button's on the top, now it was on the bottom. Okay, so let me just do a little rearranging here. Tighten things up. Okay. Here we are today. It is our Technique Time stamp class. That's today. Next Thursday at this time, I will be upstyling my Memorable Meadows Paper Pumpkin box, that kit. What's fun about this one is that it coordinates with the Meandering Meadows Sweet Collection. It's an online sweet collection that came out in the fall. So we'll be mixing it a little bit with that, and then also the free stamp. But this is going to kind of be a two-part class. I'm going to upstyle with the kit collection, or the kit contents rather, next week. The week after, in my Use It Up class, I am going to be using up the Meandering Meadows Designer Series paper, and I will most likely pair that with the free stamp from our Paper Pumpkin set, and maybe even the Garden Meadows stamp set. So that whole collection, we're just going to take a look at it and see how it all combines and have some fun with it. So that's in 2 weeks. Here is that Meandering Meadows paper. Is that the name? Yeah, Meandering Meadows. This paper is so cool, you guys. I mean, it just has great scenes. And we learned in the alternative class, or not class, but the video that Stampin' Up puts out, they had said how the artist did these, that these were actually chalk renderings. I thought that was really neat. But, you know, the pieces are somewhat, you know, they're very beautiful. Obviously, it's the same paper. And then the back sides have some great tone on tone and some color mixes on the back that are just beautiful. So this is great paper. I'm going to be working with that. Some of you earned a Use It Up kit, and I sent that in your packets this month. So you'll have some of this paper to be working with. That will be a lot of fun. That is coming up. And then in April, our pickup class is part 2 of today's class. I'm going to take a deeper dive into the Lovely and Sweet bundle. So today's class is built around the Nature Sweetness Sweet Collection, and that it's a mega suite that has 2 bundles. Today we're looking at the Notes of Nature bundle. In a couple weeks, or 3 weeks or so, we'll be looking at the Lovely and Sweet bundle. And I think we'll be using up scraps from today's class, but we're also going to take it out into some other colors as well, so that we just get a little bit of variety in that. Here is that Lovely and Sweet stamp set. And it is beautiful and it's sweet. We have almond, cacao, and vanilla. So chocolate, almond, and vanilla, nice and sweet. That is what is coming up in April, along with one more class. Our big Technique Time class of April is going to feature the Enduring Beauty Hybrid Bundle. And how is this one a hybrid? It doesn't have an embossing folder. It has masks. So it's a stamp set, dies, and masks. And we'll be using all three. And I'm going to give you just a quick sneak peek of what we'll be working with in that class. These cards are gorgeous. I'll be using the Poetic Expressions Designer Series paper to kind of be the inspiration for the class. And I'll be putting up the information to sign up for that one real soon. It's going to be a beauty for sure, for sure. Let's go on to these cards today and how pretty these are. It looks like we have Kat and Alicia have jumped on. Let's see. If I've missed somebody, I apologize. Pump those comments in. Last week, the comments didn't show till the very end. So maybe hopefully they'll populate a little sooner than they did last week. All right. So here is your kit. And your kit has some stuff in it that we're not going to use today because, like I said, I'm going to use it in the Lovely and Sweet class. So anything that's left over today, just tuck it back in your bag and we'll use it in several weeks at that class. But for now, I'm going to pull out all of my goodies here. Put that in there. I'm even going to pull out my Designer Series papers. Whoops, it looks like I have an extra one in there. Grab my Designer Series paper. Let's see here. Trying to grab all my pieces. Okay, so the extra paper that you have in here, like I said, we're going to use that. There's some extra Designer Series paper in there we'll be using in a couple weeks. So you kind of got like a bonus use it up class, but for a pickup class. Ooh, that's kind of confusing. Okay. So let's see what's in here. We have our Designer Series paper. This is specialty paper in that there's lots of gold included. So you have a piece of this is beautiful. We're going to use this on our first card. And the back side of this is awesome too. I love that text. You know, you can't really read it, but you can tell that it's text with the splatter. Here's another typed text, so kind of a newsprint with gold splatter. Hello, Nancy. Hello, Suzanne. The back side is a pebbled path with, some of those images we've seen in the Lovely and Sweet and the Nature's Notes bundle. And then everybody has a piece of this. Yours might be, I didn't know, mine was the cacao bean. Yours might be the cacao, it might be the vanilla, and it might be the almond. But you'll recognize it because it has the large pecan pie circle in the back and the splatters. The back of this is a fun gold, just kind of that, kind of like it's like for some reason I'm seeing like a screen window, but it's a cool pattern there. And then you have a piece of this gold, this lovely one, and that's the back side of that. So there are the Designer Series paper. There's one piece missing in here, and that's the piece that it's an entire 12 by 12, obviously. And every image on it cuts out with the dies from either Notes of Nature or Lovely and Sweet. And I've done that. So you have those diclamation pieces. That's what it's called, diclamation, when the dies match the Designer Series paper. So I've done that for you. And some in the back that haven't been done for you, those can be cut with the Notes of Nature dies. So anyhow, so we're going to be using all of that today. You have a Smalls bag of goodies. These are our gems and things that we're going to be using today. So we have the cork rounds and the faux leather trim. Both of these are part of the Notes of Nature Sweetness. There it is. Sorry, it's just Nature's Sweetness. That's the name of the sweet collection. And of course, it wouldn't be a card class with me if we didn't have linen thread. And I am using up, these are the opaque faceted gems that you could earn for free during celebration. And I felt the colors fit what I was doing so perfectly that we had to use them up. Okay, then you have lots of paper in your packet here today. We're going to take these first two pieces. You have a 3x6, and this is just going to be a little bonus card. that we'll make at the very end if we have time. If not, there's pictures in the group there that you can see. This one's real easy, but I needed to enclose a bunch of small pieces, itty bitty pieces. You can see them in there. So I gave you the 3x3 envelope, and I'm like, well, then we might as well make a card to go with it, right? So this is your smalls envelope where you're going to find a whole bunch of things we're going to need. So I'm going to just dump mine out for now. Okay. And just kind of look at these. We're going to use this label. So this label here that I have die cut for you is actually from the Lovely and Sweet. That's the other bundle in the Sweet collection. So this is Lovely and Sweet, this label here. I love it. Also, the tab die is from that set of dies as well. So this one we're actually going to use on our last card. And this one here, we're going to use the Petal Pink. We're going to use this tab for this card, for this first card. And then you have a whole bunch of flowers here. And hopefully you can tell the difference in the color. But we're going to use the Fresh Freesia will be for our third card. And then you have some Petal Pink. We're going to use that on our first. Is it on our first? No, this is on our second. So we're just going to move these out of the way. Don't forget where they are. I'm telling myself, not you guys. Okay. So just make a little pile of Fresh Freesia, a pile of Petal Pink, and then you have a little teeny pile of Bubble Bath. Okay. And those will be, that will be for the bonus card. All right. So I'm going to set my bonus card pieces aside. I want to make sure I don't forget where they are. And then I'm going to go back to my stack of pieces. Here's another piece of DSP that we were missing. This will be for card number 2. All right. So we are going to use everything today from Petal Pink up. So from Petal Pink up will be what we're working with. Okay. And I'm going to set these aside. I don't need those just yet. And from our designer series paper, we're going to grab the piece that has it's gold side up with the white embossing with the leaves. And if you recognize this leaf, this is one of the leaves from the cacao. So I love the way that they use the same images, but they realign them and do stuff with them and make it all interesting. Okay. So now I'm just going to kind of shuffle some things around here. Let's actually do a really quick cut. So with our DSP, we are going to just do one single cut. It's already 4 inches wide, but we're going to turn it lengthwise so that it's going horizontal, and we're going to cut it to 4 1/4. Okay, so our piece is going to be 4 by 4 1/4. Actually, it's going to be 4 1/4 by 4 inches tall. So, and then this piece, save this. We may use this in so I'm going to tuck it back into my bag here. Use that for our Lovely and Sweet pickup class later in the month. Or actually not this month, but into April. Can't believe it's already April. Or going on April. Okay, so let's grab this piece here. And so I didn't have any homework in this. We're going to do it all in class today. And what we're going to do, oh my goodness, you know what? I don't have the dies with me. All right, so be grabbing your stuff, find your dies. I would have thought I had to put all of the dies. Hello, where did they go? They're not in my cart here. Okay, hold on, folks. I thought I was doing so well. I went back and double checked. The main thing, we need the dies. I'm going to go grab my dies real fast because we're going to do a cut across the top. Let me show you which card we're doing first here. You probably can tell. So our first die cut, we're going to first put that, so it's that really cool die. Hold on. I'll be right back. I'm running. I'm still running. Okay, it's a good thing my house isn't very big. Okay, so I brought the Nature's Notes dies, and I also brought the Lovely and Sweet, so you could see what was in that one, and all the good stuff, all the fun stuff. Okay, so this is the die that I'm looking for. Okay, we are going to use this one, just not right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little piece of, just because I want it to stay straight and look really good and not wiggle. And sometimes the wiggling that happens in my machine is because my plates might be a little bit warped. So that's kind of, if you're having things wiggle on you a lot, maybe check your plates. So I'm going to take the die, and this is just kind of a really, I love this die. I think it's really cool. Let me also just kind of backtrack and say that the Notes of Nature is not carrying over. So this bundle, if you like it and don't have it, get it now, because it will retire come the end of April, okay? But I'm going to run this straight across the top, and I'm just going to put a little bit of repositionable tape on that so that I know that it stays straight, all right? If you don't mind that it's not straight, that's totally okay. My cut and emboss machine is over here on the side of me. And so I'm just going to run that through real quick. Awesome. Okay. So here we are. We'll just remove that. And then look how cool that is. It gives us the little perforated line, and then I'm going to punch these all out here. Okay, get rid of those. All right, fun die. Now, while we have this here, we're going to do a little bit of stamping on this. And I'm going to stamp with Flirty Flamingo ink first. And let me show you the other colors we'll be stamping with. Okay. We're going to stamp with Copper Clay, Mossy Meadow, and as I said, Flirty Flamingo. So Flirty Flamingo is coming out first here. Okay. And I'm going to use, okay, there's one image in here that is my absolute favorite. Let me grab it. It's this one. I stamp it everywhere. I'm going to use it everywhere. You're going to see it all over the place. I just love, it's already a collage image that's done for us. And I'm going to take the cue that it's an upper right corner, and I'm just going to stamp this right in that upper right corner, right about there. And I'm going to stamp it again. You probably don't notice it in the picture, but there is a little bit of stamping down below. So I'm going to stamp it again right here at the bottom. Just like that. I'm a little crooked, but that's okay. It's not going to show. All right. And then I'm going to do something, and I know I forgot to put this on the list of supplies, but you could do this next step with any embossing folder. Just do one that's like, that fits the feel of this particular stamp style and the Sweet collection. This is the Time Worn. So there's a little bit of text in here, and then with all the kind of it's almost like it's a wall that you see the text behind it, and then anyhow, it's just kind of aged or something. It's Time Worn. So just put it anywhere in the folder and run that through your machine. Okay. Your plates need to be plate number 1, then your embossing folder, and then plate number 4. In a big shot, you're going to open all of your tabs so that you're just 1 plate thick, and then you're going to put your blue plate on top. Get in there. Okay. So here it goes. Look how cool that looks. I think it's a great fit, this particular embossing folder with this Sweet collection. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hobby blade, and you could use your scissors too, but I'm just going to kind of cut through this so that it's like I pulled it out of a, steno pad, and I'm just going to kind of, distress and crinkle these. you know, right to that perforated line, just like that. You can do as much or as little as you like, obviously. Just to kind of really emphasize that the use of the die. Okay, we're going to do just a little bit more stamping. We're going to stamp our tag here with the favorite stamp. And we're going to stamp in Flirty Flamingo, but I'm lightly going to stamp off. Just let the weight of the block remove the ink, and then just stamp right on top of that. Fun little detail. And sometimes when you have cards like this, there are little hidden details that you just might not see. Whoops, don't shut your pad too fast. We're going to do just one more bit of stamping. Again, with my favorite stamp here. And I'm going to stamp the circle right in there. And I'm also going to borrow an ink pad from our next color palette for our next card, and that is Petal Pink. And I'm going to use the splatter stamp or the speckle stamp or the ink spot. We are truly seeing ink spots today. And I'm just going to ink spot right over that and add just a tiny bit of texture. And as that dries, you know, you'll see there'll be a stronger definition, a stronger, you know, color distinction between the two. So anyhow, that's, like I say, some of the hidden details in there. I do believe that that is the stamping for the exterior of the card so far. But let's go ahead while we have our stamps out and our scratch paper. You have a piece, you have a quarter sheet of white in your stack of papers. Let's stamp the inside while we're here. Now, Kayleen had commented on one of my pictures that I posted last night of these cards. Can I tell you, my favorite part of finishing each of these cards was designing the inside. I love the little collage style stamping on the inside. So here we go. Let's see. Let's take our favorite image first, and we're going to stamp with Flirty Flamingo. Okay. And I'm going to stamp just right in the corner there. Beautiful. Now I'm going to take the image and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And we'll stamp this bottom image where it says Field Notes. Just like that. Looking cool. Looking cool. That's it with that stamp. And then I'm going to use this tiny little flower here. I think this is from the vanilla image. But we're going to bring in some copper clay at this point. Okay. I like the analogous palette of the copper clay Flirty Flamingo Petal Pink. It's an interesting combination. And I'm going to put a flower there. And I'm going to put another flower over here. And then I have to share with you where I made a mistake. I was re-inking again, and I accidentally, instead of re-inking in the copper clay, I inked up in Flirty Flamingo. And I went, So when I do something like that, I'm just going to repeat it so that it looks like I intended to do it. So without cleaning, I know you guys can clean if you want, but that's how I got this color. So I thought I'd at least explain how it came about. There's my copper clay Flirty Flamingo-ish color. And so I just repeated that image, that mistake. Then it's no longer a mistake. It's a happening. And I'm going to pull out the Petal Pink again that we're borrowing from our next colors palette. Okay. And I'm going to use the splatter stamp. And I'm just going to kind of, it's this splatter image. Here you can see it. But what it does is it just kind of softens these lines that are already soft. But I just think coming in here, and don't go crazy, just, you know, keep that stamp rotating and just soften the edges here and there. Okay. If you're thinking, oh, should I do it again or should I stamp another one or not? If you're questioning it, the answer for me is always no. Stop, because you just don't want to take it too far. So there is the inside of our stamping. I love this collage look. So that's the inside, that's ready to go. Just a little bit more stamping to do. And that is, we're gonna stamp a couple leaves from the stamp set. And this is a beautiful image, I think. We're gonna stamp this twice. And we're gonna stamp it on the old olive piece of paper in your kit with Mossy Meadow. Okay, and I'm gonna stamp it once, just real easy. And again, that's it for that. And we have one more thing to stamp, and that is our greeting for the front of the card. And this is just a little note to say hello. And we're going to stamp that in copper clay. Now you could use copper clay, you could use Mossy Meadow, you could use the Flirty Flamingo. I'm using the copper clay because we haven't pulled the copper clay. We have the copper clay on the inside, but I didn't have it stamped anywhere on the front. And so that's why I chose that color for the greeting, even though, you know, typically I like to use my darkest color, which is actually the Mossy Meadow. But I felt it also pulled into the cacao bean here. Okay, so here's copper clay. And we're going to, you know what? I'm gonna stamp this on my scratch paper to see how straight I have it mounted on my block. Okay, I have it mounted pretty straight. And I did that because I haven't stamped with it recently. And this isn't photopolymer. So I just wanna make sure I'm familiar with how my image is placed on the block so that I can auto-correct if I need to tip it up a little bit or not. But that's pretty straight. Okay, guess what, folks? We have now stamped everything we need to stamp for our first card here. Now it's all about assembly. Let me shut these pads. Okay. Before we assemble, I want to do just a tiny bit of work on these leaves here, and that is to take an aqua painter, and I'm going to kind of get it going. I'm using the back of my hand so I can feel when it's moving, and I'm just going to use a little bit of water in here. Nothing magical, but I'm just moving the Mossy Meadow ink around and blurring it out just a little bit. There's still definition there, but it's not as strong. But as it dries, it moves the ink around just a little bit. So I'm doing kind of like a faux watercolor, or what would you call it? I don't know. So again, I'm not seeing any comments. I do not know why I'm not seeing them. If anybody knows, I would sure love to know. Or maybe you're just quiet this morning. In either case, it's a simple little step. You don't even have to bring anything out. You know, this one's pretty dry. This one's getting dry. But you can see it gave it just a little bit of interest, just a little bit of extra color. And we're going to die cut those. But we're also going to do some more die cutting. So while I'm running this one through, we're going to run 2 dies through at the exact same time. Okay, the dies we're going to run through for this card, we're going to use the open image die to cut out the leaf, and I'm also going to grab this die here. Let me show you the back side, and we're going to run that through. And so I'm going to put this one through on this. You have a 2x2 soft sea foam in your kit there. And then you have the open die that we've stamped. So this one is going to go through, and we're going to cut that once. And then when we go through to cut this one out again, we'll cut another one of the leaves out of the soft sea foam. So let's see here. I'm just going to line this up the best I can. And I'm going to put just a little reinforcement on it so it doesn't wiggle. And run this through my machine. I need to put my plates back in the right order. We're not embossing anymore today, just FYI. So you can kind of set that aside, that plate. Let me put my number 2, and I am using a magic mat. If you guys have a magic mat, do you love them? I love it. I find that I'm having far less warped plates, so that's a positive. Now, Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell the magic mat, but I believe you can find it online very easily. Okay, so I'm doing one pass through here, and then I'll do another. So I really like this set, or any set when you have a die. You get a detail die and an open die. I just think it's kind of fun to mix the two looks, if you know what I mean. So it's like, here's, you know, you have imagery, and then you have kind of just a, you know, what would we call this kind? Just, you know, it stands alone. It doesn't need a stamp. And I like being able to mix the two, put the two together. I like that juxtaposition. Okay, now we have to do this all over again. So one more, cut yourself one of those. So we have two, and then we'll run this one through one more time. This is a pretty easy set to align. Sometimes I'm like, I cannot get that one straight, or I goofed on it, but because I cut all of the sheet of DSP for everybody for the different images, I got pretty good at it, at knowing just how to line it up. Okay, save that die, put it somewhere handy where you know that it's at. Okay, we'll bring in our other Mossy Meadow leaf, stack that die, that's trash, and here's my soft sea foam. Okay, now I do believe we have our elements all prepared for our first card here. We have all of our stamped images. We have our die cut images, our just paper cut images. Let's start to put this together. This is the first piece we're going to add to the card. And this is going to center, and I intentionally left it so that I had some sides showing because I have this piece that's kind of reaching across. So let's center it top, bottom, center it left, right. A little bit of glue action here. Okay. And there we have that. So easy peasy. And then if you want to give that a little bit more character, sometimes it's easier when it's on something because you have a little bit of leverage. And let's give this a glue down. Now, you're going to want to go easy on your glue on this page because it can show through. Okay, just FYI. And so that's just stretching across on the page there, just like that. This piece is going to glue to the inside of our card. And so I'm going to kind of check it to see it's in there, but you can see it's kind of sticking out the bottom. So I'm going to take a little bit off. You can take some off the top or the bottom. So I'm going to take some off now so I don't have to do it while it's part of the card. It's a little bit easier now. Let's see, we'll do it from this side. And it felt like I needed to take about 1/8, just not quite 1/8 of an inch. So that should be better. We'll add this. Now I can get it right up and in there, right to the edge, and it's not going to show, and it's going to fold, no problem. Tuck some glue in there. Okay, right down on that edge. So there's my inside. Now let me bring this in, and let's add our pieces here. So I'm going to do, oh goodness, we've missed the focal point. I just realized. But okay, so we have that's going there, and our tab, we're going to tuck right under in there. So we're just going to rough this in for now. We have some leaves. We have our greeting. We have our seafoam leaves are going to tuck in here. And now we're missing, hello, the focal point. So you're going to find your focal point. That's going to be in, you have 2 smalls bag. You have a smalls of these pieces. These are die cut from the designer series paper. You can see that it is designer series paper. And then you have your stuff right there. And so in this little packet, grab the cacao bean. Oh, hello, now we're more complete. And from this, we're going to grab the faux leather trim and the cork rounds. There's the faux leather trim. We're actually going to use that trim. There's enough there for 2 cards and the cork rounds. And so this is the card we're going to use most of it on, but you have plenty. And so let's see here. And then the knot. So you're going to need about 11 to 12 inches. Okay, so this portion will be for our next card. Just set that aside. But what we're going to do with this first is, this is thick. And I was trying to come up with ways of using it that wasn't necessarily just a bow or, like a swoosh back and forth, which is fine too. So I kind of liked the idea of tying a knot and then just doing a real simple, just a half loop. Okay, so just take your faux leather trim here and tie a knot in the center. And you don't have to hunker down on it because I kind of think it's fun to see some light and color coming through it. That's it. That is all we are doing on our faux leather trim here. And it's going to layer under in here. So, but before we do that, we'll put that there. We've got our cork rounds. We need to color this. We're going to color this with blends. And what I find is really cool about this is it's just kind of fun to color because this isn't embossed. It's actually, it's gold and it just, I don't know, it colors really nice. So I am using Flirty Flamingo. I'm using copper clay. And I am going to use Old Olive. All right. And so obviously this is for my foliage and this is for the cacao beans. I'm going to start with Flirty Flamingo first. And I'm just going to kind of cover this whole bean. And if I leave some white, great. If not, so I'm using the brush tip. You can use the other tip for this layer. And I'm just checking it because I'm doing it a little further ahead of myself and I'm not looking right over it. It's kind of hard to see what I'm doing. So there was light Flirty Flamingo. Now with dark Flirty Flamingo, I'm going to come in here and maybe not color quite as strongly, but I'm just going to lay down a little bit more color here. And I'm concentrating my little swoops of color. You can kind of see it, that it's more towards the outside of each bean. That way it's almost like the light is hitting it and then it's giving it some dimension. So that's the Flirty Flamingo. And then I'm going to go to the copper clay. I'm going to switch to the chisel tip, the bullet tip, and I'm just going to kind of bring some color down in here. And this is where you color right over that gold and there's a little bit of a resist, kind of like an embossed resist. But now all of a sudden, this starts to look more like a cacao bean. Okay. And just add some of that color here and there. And if it's looking a little streaked, that's when we're going to go back to our light Flirty Flamingo and just give a little bit of blend action in hopes of toning down some of those, if it's too strong of a streak. But there you have it, Flirty Flamingo and copper clay. And if you don't have blends, you could totally do, just be easy with the water, but you could watercolor it, but you just don't want to oversaturate the paper. All right, so moving into our leaves here, same drill, just coming in with some color in here, filling a lot of this in. I'm going to switch to the other tip. I needed a little bit more. Okay, and I'm doing the same thing on this one. I need a little more, what I was going to say is a little more control. And the other end of my tip is a little flimsy. And it would be okay for this larger area, but not so much for that smaller one. Okay, and we'll just kind of come in here, add some of that, and then I'm going to use that chisel tip to carefully get some color in the stem. And for these little blossoms, I'm going to go back to the copper clay and just real easy like, just touch it a little bit here and there. I don't even know what color this little bud should be, naturally, but I just made it that color because I liked it. And here is the dark old olive. And I'm kind of just following the veins of the leaves here. Okay. Hello, Kathleen. See, they tell me when people pop on, but they are just not filling any questions. So if you have questions, put them on there. I'll come back and answer them. Also, you can pop on tomorrow night for our Zoom session and ask some questions, because I can help answer them then as well. Or if you just want to come onto the Zoom session and just come and chat and have some fun. I'm not going to do the cards full out on that Zoom session, but what I am going to do is I'm there to answer questions, and we can go over certain details and whatnot. So there's my cacao bean on the piece of DSP. Again, the DSP, you know that it's DSP, and I used the Lovely and Sweet dies to die cut that. So the Lovely and Sweet, the main images, the cacao, the vanilla, and the almond, all three of them were on those on that sheet of DSP. And you know what's interesting? You have 4 solid of the almond, right? And you have several of the vanilla. You have a whole bunch of the chocolate. I thought that was pretty funny that they gave us lots more chocolate than they did the others. Okay, now we can put this together. And I'm going to use glue on some things and dimensionals on others. Okay, so a little bit of glue on my tab here. And that's just going to set right about there. Okay, and we'll glue the tab in place. And we'll just kind of tuck that right under. Slip it down. Fun layers, fun layers. And I am going to use a little Seal Plus. You can use Seal Plus, or you could use Tear and Tape, or whatever strong 2-sided tape you have. And I'm going to do, let me see, I'm going to loop this around. I'm just going to kind of eyeball. So I'm going to put a little bit of seal right where my finger is here, so that I can catch and hold down my faux leather trim while I'm trying to add my other pieces. So I'm just going to kind of train this, and I'm going to tack it down. So there's the skinny way, and then there's the wide way. So I'm going to go the wide way. I hope that makes sense. But I'm going to just put them flat right about there. Okay, they're not overlapping, because then it would create even more bulk, and I wanted to kind of stay away from any more bulk. Okay, on to dimensionals now, folks. So I've got some minis here, and I'll do a mini on each of these leaves. And I'm going to do some full size here. And this, I'm going to do it just on the end with the just. So do 1 dimensional there. This other side will be on top of the cacao bean, and so it'll help, hold it up. Okay, here goes. Now I'm going to use a few more dimensionals than what I normally would on something this size. And the reason I'm doing that is because this is DSP and not cardstock, so we don't want it to sag in the middle, if you know what I mean, Vern. Okay. And I just want to make sure that I'm not running in, my 1-dimensional here is knocking right into that. So I may have to move this one just a little bit. I guess I'm going to do it like right there and cover it up, or hope that it gets covered. Okay, that's how we're going to put this one down. So just make sure that you're not crashing into a dimensional right where your faux leather trim is, or it's going to get really awkwardly bulky and it's not going to set level, and you want it to sit level. Okay, looking good so far. Let's add I'm going to add my leaves in before I do my greeting. I think I'm going to do my greeting last. Okay, this one, you might lift, come on, lift that, tuck that one in there, and then we'll take this one, and it's going to lift right kind of down in there. I feel like that's a lot lower than my original, but that's okay. And then this one, we're going to glue this one in, and it's going to fill there. And then this one will fill kind of right down in that area. Okay, so let's glue these in. Just a little glue on the tip there. And I'm just going to kind of lift that up so that I'm not dragging glue all over the place. We'll tuck that right there. And I'm going to give it a press so that where I did have glue, it's now touching some paper inside there. And then we'll reach this one, goes up in there. Cool. And our last little bit here. And this is just going to kind of nestle right in there like so. Awesome. So there is, we've glued everything down. The one thing I did do is, you don't have to, but I'm going to kind of shape this just a little bit. And I'm going to cut that faux leather trim on a nice angle just to kind of finish it off. There's that. Beautiful, beautiful. And let's add some of the cork rounds. You've got some larges and smalls. And let me show you what I did on my original. So I've got 3 down here on the bottom and 1 large up there. So let's do that. Here's a big. And we'll just kind of put this right up in there. And then we'll do 3 of these littles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2. I'm going to do the one on each end first. And then we'll fill it in the middle. Okay, so we'll go about yay wide. And now, rather than going, am I doing the same amount of spacing? You know, going 1, 2, 3. So now we've gone 1 and 3. It's just easier to put 1 in the middle than it is to try and space. At least that's how my brain works. How about you? Okay, that looks great. And you know me, gotta love linen thread and a little bit of Wink of Stella. And I'm just gonna add the Wink of Stella to our focal image here. And just kind of shines it up and brings it to life. And there you have our first card. This is our chocolate card. We are done. Pretty. I think it's pretty. What do you think? I like this one. It's kind of, it's different, but it's so pretty. I mentioned in real life, it really is rather pretty. So there's our first one. One and done. Nice. Moving right along. Let me kind of put some things back in the right spot so I'm not searching for it in a minute. Where's my dimensionals? Okay, card number 2. Let's go back to our stack of papers. Let's see here. Your stack of cardstock cut papers. So we're going to grab everything from Pebbled Path up. All right. Everything from Pebbled Path up will be for our next card. From your stash of designer series paper, we are going to need this gorgeous one. This is probably my absolute favorite piece of paper in here. I love the Pebbled Path with the gold. I think it is just classy. I'm super impressed with it. All right, so let's deal with this piece first. What are we going to do with it? Well, first, it's 4 inches wide. I want to make it be 5.5 inches tall. So I'm going to do just a quick cut down here. Whoops, got my scoring blade. I usually have it in the other position. Save that. You never know when we might use it, especially with collage style. and with another class coming up in about a month. So we're also going to use my favorite die from the Notes of Nature, and that's this cool, I'm just going to call it like the notebook binding or whatever. So we're going to do the same thing we did on that first card, and that is to just center this on the edge, and I am eyeballing it, folks, and I'm going to tape it down with my repositionable tape, and we'll run that through the cut and emboss machine. And so here we go. Okay, and beautiful, so pretty, so pretty. We're going to do the exact same thing we did with that first card, and that is you can take your scissors or you can rip it by hand, but I'm just going to kind of run my hobby blade through here like I've pulled it out of, you know, when you rip a piece of notebook paper out of your book, okay? And then we're just going to kind of give a little bit of the same distressing, or you might want to keep this one rather than doing that little stressed, you know, giving it like it was pulled out of the book. You may want to keep yours nice and pristine. That's a great idea too. Okay, this is going to layer onto our Pebbled Path base here. And so our Pebbled Path base, I should have said, is just a half sheet of cardstock, keeping it easy. And we'll call it hamburger style, because it's 5.5 by 8.5, scored along the long edge at 4 1/4. Okay, so this just right onto the front. Beautiful. I mean, right there, it's pretty. You don't have to do anything to it. You could just slap a greeting on it. Super pretty. Okay, so that is the base of our card. Now let's look at some of the stamping and die cutting that we'll be doing for this one. So stamping wise, we're going to be stamping our, these are both cut from Stylish Shapes. This is the largest square. And then we have a seafoam circle. We're going to die cut the wild wheat. And then the piece of white, the quarter sheet, that's going to be our inside layer. So scratch paper. Let's bring in some scratch paper. And let's see what we're going to stamp here. So first things first, let's stamp the white square. We're going to stamp the white square with, yes, my favorite stamp, this one. And I'm going to give this a little bit of a clean. We're going to get rid of the Flirty Flamingo that's been on here. And I'm going to stamp with Petal Pink. I should show you our color palette. Petal Pink, Wild Wheat, and Pebbled Path. This is, to me, a luxurious, and with the gold, such a pretty, I mean, I could see some nice bedding in this dark color like this with some gold accents and little pink action. Okay, so again, I'm going to stamp this in my favorite spot, which is the upper left corner. So there's that image. Now, I'm also going to stamp, there's another great image in here, and it's this grid. It kind of looks like grid paper. And I'm going to stamp this one with Wild Wheat. And I'm just going to make sure that it is wild wheat on there and that I didn't have some other crazy color like Lost Lagoon. And this, I'm just going to stamp across the lower corner, just like that. And I'll take the splatter stamp, and with Petal Pink, I'm just going to do just a little bit right there. Nothing much. All right, so that is my stamping for that square. Our greeting for this card is going to be stamped in Pebbled Path. This is a beautiful color. It's an in color that came out last year right about this time, and I think it is just, it's gorgeous. I can see like keeping it forever because it's nice. It's a little bit more than basic gray. It's a little richer. So this is the image I'm going to use for this card. This is a thank you card. Thanks for making me smile. We'll just put that smack dab in the middle of that soft seafoam circle. And now let's take a look at the inside stamping here. I love the inside stamping. I told you that earlier. Here's what we're going to do. Let me bring this out. So this one I haven't gone, you know, I've kind of done a little something different to really play up the leaves of the leaves heat, the major leaf image here that's on the front of our card. So we used this. We'll need to give this a clean. We stamped it in Mossy Meadow, so give it a quick tidy up there. And we'll stamp this in Wild Wheat. I am a huge fan of Wild Wheat. I know some are not, but I love it. So there's that. And I'm going to turn this image each time that I stamp with it, okay? And I'm just kind of tucking the leaves in and filling it in from however it was stamped the first time, okay? Just right down the side. This one I'll kind of turn. I'm just always making sure, though, that the stem is off the page. All right. There's something about a stem that would just be floating on the paper here. You can see if, like, say here, for instance, we go like that. It's like, if we don't have the whole thing stamped, this leaf is just kind of like floating in mid space. So by stamping it off the edge, it grounds it. So there's that. Now to add just a little bit of interest and to soften this, you could keep it that way. That's pretty. But let's go ahead and use that splatter stamp and Petal Pink to give this a nice, we're just going to just keep twisting that stamp and give just a little bit of, you know, it just softens it, adds a little bit of color. You can do as much or as little as you like. And I'm going to shut my pads. I think I'm done stamping. Okay, for now, set those out of the side, out of the way. And let's see, I'm going to keep my scratch paper handy here. We'll tuck this over to the side. We need to go to the Declamation Smalls bag here. We're going to grab this main image here, this big guy, and we're going to use this for this particular card. Let me bring the image back in here. So what we're going to be doing is a little bit of ink blending and whatnot. And it looks like I forgot my soft seafoam blends. But let me show you what I did with the flowers. I'm going to use the Flirty Flamingo and I'm going to use the Petal Pink. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with light Petal Pink. And I'm going to give just a tiny hint of color and a few swipes to these almonds. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to do a whole lot. Okay? I'm just going to give them, I just don't want them to be so strong on the page. I've seen, and I've even done some cards where the almonds seem to stand out a little too much. So I just want to do some swipes of color here. Okay. Again, I can't believe comments are not showing up. So that was with light. And now with the dark, I'm going to use the chisel tip and I'm going to do just a little bit more. Not much. I'm just going to, and I'm kind of following in the direction of the nuts themselves and some of those lines. And if you get one that's a little too strong, then just go in with your lighter color and try and blend it out. Okay, so while I have my Petal Pink out, this is dark Petal Pink, I'm going to go ahead and fill in most of the flower here. Not all of it. I'm going to leave a little white space. Okay, same thing with this one. This is dark Petal Pink. And I'm going to take my light Flirty Flamingo. And now what I'm going to do, let me show it here, is from the center, I'm going to start from the center and I'm going to draw little spokes coming out of the center. And the reason I'm not going to draw from the outside to the inside of the flower is, see, when you first put your pen down, it leaves a strong dot. So I want that strong dot to always be in the center so that I'm blending the color outward rather than dragging it inward. That way I don't ever have one of those harsh, and this flower is so small you don't see it, but that way I don't ever have one of those really harsh lines. Okay. Okay. So I'm just pulling a little bit of a darker color from the centers out each time. And it might show up just a little bit more on this. I'm going to do it now with dark Flirty Flamingo. But with the light Flirty Flamingo, I went almost to the edge of the petal. Now I'm going to refrain, and I'm not going to go quite as far. My strokes are going to be shorter, but always starting from the center and pulling out. Okay. So you are getting a little bit of that emboss resist, and I'll bring it up. You see how pretty that is? It's a little more natural looking. Whoops, that one was not so natural. So when I do that, that's when I'm going to kind of come in and blend it just a little bit more with the dark. Okay, so those are the leaves. Super, super pretty. And keep your Flirty Flamingo nearby. We're going to use them again in a second. But now I'm going to switch to, and I have Pool Party out. I should be using Soft Sea Foam. But I'm going to use Pool Party and my Old Olive. We're going to just kind of, use what's on hand here rather than having to run out again. But I'm just going to do kind of like we did on those first leaves. I'm just going to pull some color in here. And I'm just coming down. I'm fine to leave some white space. I don't think it has to be totally filled with all kinds of, just come in here and add, just keep these. I just kind of wanted these a little bit more ethereal looking. If you want to do them a much stronger color, you can, obviously. But I just kind of, like I said, I kind of liked more of an ethereal look. I don't know why. But so I'm just kind of doing my leaves here. Kind of coloring in the whoa, I just flung the lid across the room. And I'm just going to kind of blend that a little bit more with my Pool Party. By the way, this is Pool Party Light. So again, like the flowers, I'm pulling from the center and I'm pulling it out. I'm dragging the color out, okay? All right, and for now, for time's sake, obviously I would do the rest of the flowers, but I think just for time's sake, we don't need to sit here and watch me, color a whole bunch of leaves. So I will do one more leaf. We'll do this one. And again, I'm just going to kind of lightly touch the color on. I am not bearing down very hard. And I'm just drawing from the vein outward. And I'm going to just kind of draw the vein and somewhat echo where the lines of the veins are to add some more green in there. And I'm going to come back in with my Pool Party and come over that and blend that out just a little bit. Okay, so there's that leaf there. Again, we would do all of the leaves. That would be silly to kind of leave them not done. But for time's sake, we just don't want to be here forever. Other things to do today, right? Okay, so that is that for now. And we have a little bit more die cutting to do, but not much because I've done some of it for you. But what we need to do is from the set here, from the set of dies that are for this Notes of Nature, this is a gorgeous leaf that you have in your Notes of Nature bundle. We're going to cut 2 from the Wild Wheat. So let me just quickly run those through. Here goes the first one. So Dawn, I see you've popped on. Welcome. I've told the group already today that the comments are not populating on my end, which is really quite frustrating. Not quite sure why that's happening. It happened last week as well, but hopefully you guys are there. So one more leaf here from the Wild Wheat. This is an in real time class, no homework. There's my other one. Great. Okay, put my die back in the right spot. Now we have our pieces and we are ready to assemble here. So our inside piece, let's see how this is lining up. Okay, we were getting, you know, some that's hanging out over the edge. So that's just, you know, because we've got that fold in there. So I'm going to take some off the side here. For sure, right? Just enough. Hopefully that was enough. We just don't want it hanging out. It's still hanging out. I will fix it later. We don't need to keep, but I just want, you know, bring it to your attention. Make sure that it fits in there. You know, by the time you put the fold in, it takes up some space. Like I say, it's going to hang out a little bit, but I will trim it off later. Okay, so our inside is complete. That way you could put whatever greeting you want on here, or maybe you just want to totally fill it up with writing. This will be our next layer. This is what I'm going to call, this is kind of my, this is the piece that sets the stage. Well, I mean, there's this piece and this piece. This is what we're going to layer all of our focal images on. So I'm going to add this with dimensionals. Okay. One more. And we will just add this to the top. And I'm kind of pretty much centering it from left to right, coming down just a little bit. Okay, there's that. And now this piece here is going to glue. And then our main image here, which I know I haven't finished coloring, but I will finish coloring it after the class today, just because you don't need to sit and watch. And this piece is going to go on with dimensionals. This one's going to glue. So let's glue this one in place. I'm just going to put a little glue here, just like that. And we'll add that like so. Okay, easy. Now let's put some dimensionals on this. And I'm going to concentrate towards the middle because, you know, some of these leaves are going to hang over the edge. So I'm not going to do so much right there. And some of this hangs over on the bottom. So let's just get these main sections here. And again, you're going to want a few more dimensionals than you normally would because this is paper and not, you know, cardstock. Like, what is that other stuff we stamp on, right? Hello. And let's see. This one comes up just a little. I'll maybe tuck that one in at the end if I need to. I just don't want lopsided dimensionals. So let's pull all this off. Okay. And I forgot to do something. Shoot, queen. Okay. I forgot to put my leather on. So let me show you a trick that my friend Verena shared with me. When you've got a layer on and you need to pull it off, I can probably, I can get it off. But sometimes if your dimensionals have set up and you can't pull it apart, just reach your scissors in and cut your dimensionals off. Okay, so it's just cutting right through the dimensional. So rather than like bending your paper really bad, just cut the dimensionals. It's the greatest tip I have like seen in a long time. I was like, oh, I love that tip. So I'm just going to remove my dimensionals with an adhesive remover. Hey, it wouldn't be a class with me if we weren't having, you know, hold the truck up. We got to go back and fix something. And you know what? I even put in my notes, don't forget to sandwich your ribbon. Okay, so I've removed my dimensionals. And sometimes you don't need to remove them. You can just put a dimensional kind of in a spot where that one wasn't. But I need to put down some Stampin' Seal here. So I want some Stampin' Seal there. and some Stampin' Seal right about there. Okay, so I have enough. We're going to bring in our faux leather trim and we're going to stretch a piece across that. So let's first tie a knot in the trim, okay? And we're going to place the trim. I'm not going to put it down because then it's going to stick to my paper. You're going to place the knot and stretch your leather. So place your knot about 1/4 inch from the bottom. And we'll wrap that to the back. And now I'm just going to kind of press that into the Stampin' Seal. And then we'll trim this off. We'll trim that off. Okay. Now I can put my dimensionals back on. Let's put the whole card back together. And we'll be right on track here. So, just like that. And since I kind of removed some of the stickiness, do you guys do this sort of thing? I'm just going to re-stick my dimensionals there. And we're back on track here, folks. And we'll lay this piece back on. Okay, now, hello, we're going to bring our declamation piece in. And just wiggle it until you have it framing the sentiment the way you like it. I might pull this down just a little bit. You know, maybe it's going to come down. Oop, that's good right there. So just add that in there. You can see my original here. And this is going to look a little bit different once I have all my leaves colored. And we're going to add a leaf right in there. Ah, a comment showed up. Thanks, Facebook, for loading them in. Thank you, Kim. Now maybe I'll see if you guys have any more. Maybe I'll see that. Okay, so my wild wheat leaf is going to tuck right in there, like so. And if I feel like that needs some stability, that was the one leaf that I said, well, if I need a dimensional, I'll do it. I'm going to just reach in. And I usually like to just reach in with like a scissor or my hobby blade. And I'm going to pull the leaf up at the same time. We'll just kind of tuck that in there. And kind of secure that a little bit better. Oh, thanks, Sherry. This leaf here, we're going to add on this side. Just reach that, tuck that in. Whoops, hello, I don't want it to show. Can't have stems coming out of nowhere. Okay, I guess that's where that one's gonna go. Since it doesn't quite want to, I'm just gonna wiggle under my leather here, that leaf. It doesn't want to go, so I'm just gonna leave it where it is. But ching. Get that pun? There's that right there. And we have a little bit more to finish this out. So yeah, my positioning is a little bit different, but we're not, we're human. Not every card is exactly the same. Okay, in your goodie bag there, these are the opaque faceted gems, and we're going to use these 5 Flirty Flamingo Petal Pink-esque. I'm not exactly sure what color they are. We're going to use all 5 on this card. And let me get my hobby blade. That's my favorite way to add gems. Sometimes I use the putty end of my take your pick, but I like to grab under these and use it more as a spatula. So I'm going to do one, and I'm tucking it under the white square. That was a large. Here goes a small. These opaque faceted gems on this paper, so pretty. Okay, let's do the other large. Whoa, hello, popped right off. And I'm going to tuck it under here. Come on, let go. And I'm going to wait on one of my smalls. And then we'll do another small kind of right in there. And I'm going to wait on this last small because I want to add my flowers. Okay, so we have these tiny little flowers, and I have cut these itty bitty tiny little flowers. This die, there's 4 of these dies in the Lovely and Sweet, and they're a little bit different. But the cool thing is, in one pass, you can cut 8 leaves. So, I mean, not leaves, 8 mini flowers. So we're going to use, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to use 5 of them right now. And it looks like on my original, I did 3 large and 2 medium. And here's what we're going to do. To give them just a little bit more interest, I'm going to use my Flirty Flamingo. Okay. And I'm going to use the chisel tip. And just like when we were coloring the flowers, I'm going to start in the center and drag out. Okay. What's going to happen is it's going to give a little color down the petal, but it's going to concentrate and start to layer a little bit more color in the center. Okay. And once that flower's done, I'm just going to go ahead and with my stylus, you're going to go ahead and just give it a little press into your hand, and it makes this little flower just come to life. Then I'm not going to try and put glue on the back. I am just going to go ahead and dot a little glue right there. And then I will take my flower and add that right to where I want it to go. And we'll let that glue set up. And it looks like I have another one, if I'm kind of going along with this first one. I have another one down in there, and it's a small. So again, just draw some color on there. Go ahead, give it a little bit of direction with your stylus, get a little character. And you know what, I'm going to use this precision tip. Just purchased these right off of Amazon. Let me see if this is actually running or if I need to unclog it, thanks to the dry heat of, well, not dry heat right now, but to the dryness of the Boise area. Okay. Just wait a second or two for that to set up. And I can see I have some glue kind of coming out. I'm going to clean that up a little bit, because we can't have that, right? And let's see, there's some more flowers. I have another one up there, so let's do another big here. Again, starting from the center, coloring those, I'm going to call them spokes. Give it some character, and this leaf is going to go, this leaf, I keep calling them leaves, they're flowers. This little flower is going to tuck up into here. I just love the way these flowers and these opaque faceted gems play off of one another and really dress this card up. Now, you're thinking, well, why didn't you put gems in the center of these flowers? These flowers are so small, these gems are way too big. So that's why I didn't. Okay, we have 2 more. We're going to do some smalls here. So again, start in the center. We'll give the flower a little bit of a, whoops, I started on the outside. Oh well. Break my rules, break my own ideas. Meant to be done, right? Okay, that's an extra. If you want to throw those on the inside, you could. Okay, a little character here. Let me use the bigger end. And let's do this one at the same time while we're here. And we'll glue them into place. So I have one right there on this one, and one, I'm going to do one down here for sure. But I'm going to have to think about where this one's going to go because my card is a little bit different. So I guess I'm going to try attaching right to the leaf here. I can do it. Okay. And the reason I waited for this last opaque gem was because I kind of needed to know where these flowers were so that I could actually put this in place, because it's going to kind of play off. There's a little trio action working right here. Okay, so there are my flowers. Pretend my leaves are fully colored in. Bear with me on that one. It just takes time to do all that coloring sometimes, and it could get a little Boresville. Okay, I'm just putting my tools away and bringing out my favorite tool. She is in the house. I'm going to go ahead and prime it just a little bit. Make sure she's Oh, she's flowing. Okay, and I'm going to come in here and I am going to just dot a little bit of Wink of Stella on these flowers. And you know what? It just makes these sparkle and shine so pretty. And it's just like, you know, it's that finishing touch that just brings everything to life. And I'm also going to hit these two flowers since we hit the other flowers. Okay, then you could even, you know, give a nice, let me get my splatter action happening here. Splatter action for your card. I like to go back in, and once like the glue has set up, I kind of like to go back in and kind of give these little flowers an extra little bit of lift. These aren't quite dry just yet, but there you have it. I'll bring this one in because this one's colored. But that is card number 2 with this gorgeous piece of DSP. Whew. It sets the stage for a very pretty card. All right, there you have it, folks. Let's keep moving along. This next card, our last card, is actually my favorite. I'm saving my favorite for the end here. I just love the way this one came together. We're using quite a few things for this card. Let's look at all of our pieces. So we're going to use the remaining pieces of cardstock that I've cut for you. This piece here is 5.5 by 11. So it takes a full sheet of cardstock for this card base. Obviously you have some, you know, you have 3 inches left over that you, can use for other things. But let's look at where the score lines are. They are not exactly even from side to side. My score line, my first score line is at 3 5/8, and the next one is at 7 7/8. I know it's a little weird, but I wanted this edge to have just enough room for to be able to see this cool tab. So that's why I did it, folks. Or you could have had this so this goes all the way over and that there's less on this side. But that was what drove my choice of where I was putting my score lines when I was designing the card. Okay, let me bring the card out. This is a fun color palette. It is Pecan Pie, Lost Lagoon, Pool Party, Bubble Bath, and Fresh Freesia, and Pebbled Path. So we got a lot of colors in here, but I think they're a fun mix. Okay, so we're going to do some stamping. We're going to do some gluing. Let's just get to it. And let's work on making this one. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to bring in my scratch paper here. Well, not that scratch paper. That's really bad. I'm trying to bring one in that's not quite so ugly and distracting. Let me find a clean one. Here's a clean piece. I stamp on messy scratch paper, but for you guys, I want to show my best. Okay, this first little bit of stamping, we're going to stamp with the favorite stamp, and that is the collage image right here. So it had a different color on it from our last card. Let's give it a quick clean. Keep that handy. We'll need to clean some others. And I'm going to use my colors for this, my ink colors. We're going to use Pecan Pie. Where's Pebbled Path? I got to get this one into the mix too. Pebbled Path, Pecan Pie, Lost Lagoon, Fresh Freesia, and Bubble Bath. Okay, so let's start with, we're going to start with Fresh Freesia. And I'm going to stamp the little tab here. And I'm pretty much trying to aim those numbers this time on the tab, just like that. That's the file number. Cute, right? And we're going to stamp it again with, let me see, it's Pecan Pie. So with Pecan Pie, we have this, the little image here. This is pretty. It's the only flower, and it's small, in the Notes of Nature, is this small little flower. And that's why I find the mixing of the two bundles in the Sweet collection, the Lovely and Sweet and the Nature's Notes, is the Lovely and Sweet gives you these larger focal images to work with, and the Notes of Nature has all these cool detailed die pieces to work with. So they really work hand in hand. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and stamp my flower in the pecan pie. Yes, we are overlapping images. And I know it looks kind of crazy here, but that's the beauty, and that's, you know, kind of how that collage style comes together. Okay, so there's that. And let's see, let's do some more stamping while we're here. Our stack of papers. Where did I put my whole stack? Oh, here they are. Like, where's all my paper? Okay, you have a small strip of white, and this isn't a specific size necessarily, but it's just large enough, and I just cleaned my image. We're going to stamp the flower image. It's just large enough that I can stamp the floral image here 3 times. 1, maybe even fit in a 4th. 2, 3, and if you want to squeeze a 4th in, we only need 3, but there's that. And we're going to color those in just a minute. Let's see what else we are stamping here. Okay, we're going to stamp you have a tiny piece of bubble bath here, okay? Just a tiny piece of bubble bath. We're going to stamp this larger image. Today is all about you. Happy birthday. I agree, Terry, this is a fun color palette. So I'm inking up the happy birthday is mainly what I'm trying to ink up right now. And I'm going to stamp and basically just want the word or the words, the 2 words, happy and birthday. You know what, folks? I got to turn a light on. All of a sudden the clouds are totally blocking the sun. Okay. All of a sudden I'm like, I can't see. So that's some stamping. While we're with that image, let's look at, so this piece here was cut from these stylish shapes. And we're going to ink this up again. We're going to do this greeting again. However, we're going to ink it up just a little bit different. So I'm going to give it a clean. Make sure it's good and clean. We're going to ink it up in pecan pie. So here's my pecan pie. And what I'm going to do is I'm pretty much just going to ink up, or I'm going to try. It's not photopolymer, so I totally can't see what I'm doing. But I'm trying to get the pecan pie on the Today is All About. Trying to get all of that done. If you get a little bit on the happy birthday, no biggie. Okay, so today is all about you. And now with my pebbled path, and yes, it's going to kind of hit some of the descenders on the Y's here, but that's okay. And I'm trying to ink up the happy birthday. Okay, and let's hope this is going to work. Okay, give a little huff on that. Stamp that in the center of your die cut. Beautiful. I love it. I love it when you've got that 2-tone look. It just adds, it's just one of my favorite things to do. Okay, so that's that stamping. This is for die cutting. And then we have some stamping to do on this piece as well. Lots of cool stamping that's kind of hidden. And you may not see it too much, but this is where we're going to use some Lost Lagoon. And we're going to take the cool image, the collage piece here, and we're going to stamp with Lost Lagoon and just stamp that right over your circle. That's it. Easy stamping there. Let's see here. I'm going to, let's work on the inside. This is my favorite inside of all of our cards here. So let's bring it so you can see it. So this piece here, we're going to stamp some fun collage ideas. So let me get my ink pads all over to one side of my workspace here so that I don't muck up anything over here. And I'll bring this into view. And let's see here. We're going to use the grid paper image. We're going to use the favorite image. Have to, right? And we're going to use the little flower image and the splatter. But splatter it has petal pink on it, so we're going to switch to fresh freesia here. Okay. Get all that off. Make sure it's clean. Okay, good. All right, so for this one, same corner, right? We're going to use the Lost Lagoon in the upper left corner. Just like so. And we're going to use the grid paper down here in the lower right corner. And this will also be Lost Lagoon. Cool, cool, cool. That's it for those two. Now we're gonna move to the flower image, and the flower image is going to be Pebbled Path. And let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're gonna stamp it 5 times. We'll go once. So fun to start just adding all of these on top. I'm gonna rotate it there. We'll do another one here. And I have one there. And we're just gonna flip this so that it faces the other direction, right in there. Now to soften all of that, this is where we're gonna pull in the Fresh Freesia splatter. And I'm aiming my splatter pretty much in those 2 key areas, but I'm directing most of it, let me rotate this just a little bit, over the flowers. Okay? And just keep rotating it each time. And we'll come up in here and grab a bunch of that. All right, there it is. That is our inside stamping. Love it, love it. But I did one more thing, and I don't know if you can see it, but I did a little edging with my ink pad on the areas where I've stamped. Okay, I didn't do the whole thing. I'm just gonna take my pecan pie, and I'm just gonna do direct to paper right on the corners where we have stamped. Wherever they're stamping, I'm gonna go ahead and just add some cool edging, just like that. Just adding it, just a little bit. And that was with pecan pie. Okay, that is our stamping. We have just a little bit more stamping, so leave Fresh Freesia open. And we'll do that in a second. Now that we've got our pieces going, let's see what we're gonna do. We need some designer series paper for this card. And the pieces we're going to need the text. So like the printed text with the gold splatter, the back side, oh, so pretty, so pretty. And then whichever piece you have in yours, I mentioned at the beginning, you might have the vanilla, or in my original here, I had the almond. So now I'm gonna do it with the cocoa. And we're gonna cut, I believe, 3/8 of an inch off each end. Okay, so this is 6 inches. So now I'm gonna go to 5 and 5/8. Okay, and I'm gonna cut the bottom off. Save that. You never know when we might collage with it next time. And now we're gonna take this down to 5 3/8. We're gonna take some off of that so that now this measurement here is 5, and it should be 5 1/4, sorry. I have one more 1/8 to go. There it is. So you're wanting this to be 5 1/4. So it's 4 by 5 1/4, like the inside layer is often. And you need to take 3/8 off of both ends. Okay, because that one's gonna go in right about there, right? So I'm gonna do a little bit more. Let's do a little bit more of that stamping I said we were gonna do. So with the splatter image and Fresh Freesia, I'm just gonna add a little bit more color to right where they have splattered, okay? And less is more. And so I might do it one more time, right up in there, okay? That's it. So just add a little bit of purple to the card. That's all of our stamping. I can put the pad away. Now it's all about assembly. Before we assemble this layer here, what's cool about this is we get to see the peak of this backside showing, and it's going to be a pocket. So I am going to take, I probably didn't have this on the list. I might have, I don't know. But you guys, it's always in my little trolley here of my cart. So there's certain things, just always know that we're gonna use Wink of Stella. And we're gonna use a circle punch, most likely. What else are we always gonna use? Linen thread. I mean, that's just me. Okay, now when we glue this one on, I want to flip this over. Now watch how I'm gonna flip this over. I'm gonna flip this over like this, okay? And I'm gonna hold it in place. And now I can see where I'm going to put my glue. Okay, hold on, before I do my glue, I got to get rid of the boogies. Okay, it needs to blow its nose. Okay, now, oh, much better. I mean, I know the side one, that one's a definite, but it's how far to go. Okay, how far am I gonna go on, you know, where do I stop on my glue? Okay, so now we can put this one on. And we've created a pocket. And it's nicely centered in our, you know, from the score line over, kind of like a normal quarter sheet would be, right? And let's take our other piece and add this to the inside. And this piece here is a 4 by 5 1/4. So it, you know, it nicely mimics, and we repeat this size, you know, and this one covers it. Kind of cool, you know. Sometimes I do things with a purpose sometimes, and that was intentional, which is why this one doesn't fill that whole section, why it's cut down a little. And then we will start to add everything here. So let's go ahead and start with the tab. And the tab is just going to come right up in here, okay? And it's going to glue down. And what I'm going to do is I'm only going to put glue. See how it kind of swings this, you know, I'm only going to do this bottom side right here. Okay, you'll see here in just a second when I put this on. Just that much right there. And I'm going to glue it at the top, just right to there. Okay. So now you see why I left this, you know, why I didn't have this go all the way to the edge, so that we could really kind of play up this tab little piece here. Okay, next is our splatter piece. We need to trim our splatter piece. It's already 4 inches wide, but we need to narrow it up a little bit. And so our measurement here, it's not 4 by 5 1/4. It's going to be 3 3/8 by 5 1/4. Okay, I am going to double check, and we're going to measure it one more time. You know, measure twice, cut once. It is 3 3/8 by 5 1/4. The 5 1/4 I was very confident with. So let's cut I'm actually going to do something a little different. I usually cut the narrow measurement first, but I'm going to cut, because I want a bigger chunk of this, we're going to cut it down to 5 1/4. Save that. You never know when we're going to use it. And now I'm going to do the 3 3/8. Okay. Save that. You never know when we're going to use it. Okay. Now this one, you can see here, it's just going to layer over that piece there, just like so. Okay. Here we go. I really do like this color palette. I really have enjoyed mixing Bubble Bath and Fresh Freesia together. I've done it quite a bit lately. I just kind of like those two colors. I mean, they're so similar, but they work together nicely. Okay, I'm just wiggling this to make a nice even border all the way around. Okay, you can see my splatter and my piece is a different layout than this piece, but that's okay. It's perfect that way. All right, so let's start with our circle here. This is going to go on with dimensionals, and I don't have to wrap it with ribbon, so I'm good to put it on. So we'll just do 4 on here, just to keep it fairly level, right? There's that. Okay. And this piece will set right here. And I'm going to let it overhang a little bit as well. Just like that. Easy peasy, right? And now I'm going to add some Seal Plus, or you can do tear and tape or whatever you like. Come on, Seal. Just going to run some across the middle there so that I can take my linen thread here And we're going to, you can tie it in a bow or you can just loop it around if you want. You might want to tame it just a little bit, but the knot's not going to show, so you could almost just loop it around. Let me make this side a little bigger. I got to borrow some from this side. It's very lopsided. Sorry. Okay. Let's see here. You would think it wouldn't be so hard to make a piece. I think I'd have been better off just tying a bow. Oh, brother, you guys. There we go. Get it in the middle there, girl. Okay. And we'll just lay this down right in that seal. Now, the cool thing is, this is where you can really kind of, so mine's kind of being flippy right now, and it's flipping out, but just kind of wiggle it and get it to the length you like. Obviously, you can trim stuff. And then our Today is All About You is going to layer right on top, like so. And this is going to go on with dimensionals. And I might put this one on right there so that I'm not, I mean, linen thread is thin enough, but sometimes it does create just a little bit of a, you know, like you're going over a bump. And so I wanted to just be sure that it was in the right spot. Got to pull the backing off though. And then we're just going to reach this one right across. And you're going to go almost to the edge of your card. You see, am I straight? Pretty straight. Okay, see now my thread looks pretty good. I'm just going to even that end. Ta-da! There you have it. I think it's looking good. Okay. Oh, you guys, I forgot. Holy moly. All right. So I didn't forget my ribbon, but I forgot my major die cuts. Hello. Okay. Okay. You have a long piece of pebbled path. You're going to add your cool die here and run that right through your machine there to get yourself this awesome. This die is gorgeous. It's a nice border die, but you can use it for other things. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do with it. I'm going to shape this just a little bit because it's kind of like very straight. Let me pull this off my machine here. It's sticking to the plate. Let me get it up with a hobby blade here. All right, so here's your image, and you can see it's pretty straight. But I'm going to go ahead and shape this a little bit. And so if you kind of count down, there's this major leaf right here, and then there's two that come from each side. I'm going to split this in half. So I'm just going to shape that leaf right there. But I'm also going to take these, and I want it to not be so straight. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a little bit of a notch in there so that I can kind of bend these, and it's not going to show. You're just going to bend it a little bit so that it has just a little bit more curve to it. And obviously I'm going to have to pick my thing up just like I had to on the last one. Same here. You know, you can just kind of bend these, just, you know, take a little snip at them, and you can curve them a little bit, or you can curve them inward. And it just makes it so that you can just give them just a little bit more so they're not quite so awkwardly straight. Okay, speaking of awkward, that's a great transition. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm not going to lift everything off, but I'm just going to go ahead and cut my dimensionals that are right there. And then I can reach some glue in and do it again. And I might even cut some of this off. I tell you, you guys, I can never do a class without a mistake or two. It's just bound to happen, right? Okay, so here's this beautiful leaf in there. The point is, give your leaves just a little bit of character by clipping them up, customizing them so that they are all totally yours. Okay, look at that. I didn't even have to take it apart, and I got it in there. So now what do I do that I've disconnected my my dimensional here is I'm going to do this. I do this, you guys, when I'm crafting all the time. I grab little pieces of scrap paper out of my garbage can. I put glue on the end like that, and then I just come right in here and add glue to my dimensional again. And just like that, I've got my leaves in place. All right, I think I'm so clever. Not really. Okay, you do have a small piece of Lost Lagoon, and that is for one of these leaves. So we'll run that through. Wrong plate. There we go. Okay, there's my leaf. And so this leaf is going to tuck under in there, just like so. So I'm going to reach, I'm going to do a little glue on here. And then I'll reach that up inside. Okay, lovely. Now we have our pieces here. Before we die cut these, folks, let me tell you, I think it's important that you color them first, because if you try and if you die cut these, then you're trying to color these little tiny things. It gets really awkward. So I recommend coloring and then die cutting. And so we've got some pretty simple coloring we're going to do here. We're going to color with some Lost Lagoon and both Bubble Bath and Fresh Freesia, or you could use just Bubble Bath if you want. So I'm going to use some Bubble Bath here. Let's see. We're going to start with the light Bubble Bath, and we're just going to, again, you can see I'm not coloring all the way to the edges. I'm going to even get these little dudes. I don't know if they're supposed to be this color, but in my world they are. Okay. Then with the dark Bubble Bath, now I'm not going to color. I'm going to do that whole, you know, from the center out, kind of, we're just going to draw the spokes. Okay. That's it for that one. Done. Okay. Quick scribble. Doesn't matter if you don't go all the way to the edges. Those little white spots, I think, add just a little bit of, you know, little highlights. Now with my dark, I'm just doing the spoke action. And if I feel like I need it even more intense, just go back in and add some more. Let's do this one. So this is my light. You know what's fun about these littler images? You can truly just scribble. Maybe you can't, and maybe it's my eyes are that bad, but hello. Okay. Dark. Do I need to add a little bit more to this one? Yeah, I'm just going to punch them up a bit. Okay. Done with the pink, the Bubble Bath, or you could use Fresh Freesia, as I mentioned. And now let's do our leaves here and our stem. These little stems that are coming off, there's no way I'm going to get those done. So I'm just adding some Lost Lagoon in here. And this is light Lost Lagoon, I hope. Yep. There's the light. And then with a little bit of the dark and the chisel tip, I'm just going to kind of do a little bit right here and around the base of this flower. Okay, and around kind of that little knobby part. That's it. We need to cut those with our die cut. There is a die cut for those. It's an open image. Kind of looks like nothing here, but it does fit this little guy right there. So I'm going to snag this piece of tape from that other die. And I'm just going to run this through. And so we'll have to do that. I've got 3 to do here. Won't take too long. So if you're working along with me, or if you're watching the replay, at least we'll be finishing right about the same time. That's what I said. This is an in real life time. We're doing everything together here. I didn't prep anything ahead of time. It was just one of those classes where I'm like, I don't think we really need to. Okay, there's number 2. We'll run this one through. And one more time. Third time's a charm, right? But I think what's fun is mixing this little stamped flower with the mini flower dies that are from the Lovely and Sweet set. Now, if you don't have Lovely and Sweet, my guess is that you might have another small flower from another die set, or that you might even have a small flower punch. So look in your stash. Okay, then we'll do that one in a second so I don't lose the pieces. So let's add, we have all of our flowers here to be adding. We have the ones that I mentioned at the beginning that we made little piles of. These are the fresh freesia flowers, okay? And you could color those just like we did on the earlier card, but for time's sake, I'm just going to shape them. I'm not going to color them this time, but I think you could. I mean, it really makes them pretty. And I will off camera, but like I say, for time. And so when I say color them, if you remember on the previous card, I took my blend and I drew the spokes. So I started in the center and I drew little wisps, lines, like wispy lines, right out from the center down the petal of each, flower, of each flower petal. Yeah, I can speak. Let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's 5 right now. And then I have those 3 flowers. So let's just add these. And I'm going to use dimensional here. So we'll just put a big guy on that one. Well, not that it needs that big, huge one. But this one's going to come and it's going to set kind of right in there like that. Then we have another one here. This one is going to come right in there like that. And then this one's going to kind of tuck and hide in here just a little bit. I kind of like that it's, it doesn't have to be always all on top. I kind of like it, peeking through there. There's that one. Now let's do our flowers here. Looks like one didn't get shaped. Shape up. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm going to go back to my precision glue tip. I handed these out as party favors at not my last Studio Ink Spots camp, but at a previous one. These are, I really like these. I bought a bunch from Amazon for a pretty inexpensive price. So there's my little dot of glue. And then I'm going to add my flower. And not that I'm promoting a non-Stampin' Up! Product, but every now and then we need a tool that we don't offer through Stampin' Up! I'm going to lift this leaf right here and kind of, let's see if I can get one tucked under there. I'm going to tuck a flower in there. Hopefully you can see. I'm sorry I'm off camera here, so let's get centered. Let's do a little guy in there. Again, I like when it's just kind of peeking through. Sometimes we think it all has to be in the front, some of these little things, but let's add some dimension. Let's do a large one here. And while I've got my bottle of glue, we'll do a small one there. Okay, there's that. And that. Oh, get in there. This is a very old stylus that I've had for a long time, but I just love it. Sometimes, I mean, I like our other tools that we have, but every now and again, And let's do another one right here. Okay, we're mimicking that one there. So we'll get that down in that little puddle of glue. Okay, so there is the front with our flowers. And just like the other ones, they've been colored. It finishes them. And I'm going to pull this one up in just a second here and show you the center of the flowers. You can color them with fresh freesia if you want, or you could color them with bubble bath. I think both colors would work fine. I think on my original I used fresh freesia. Okay, this one needs to stick in place. I've seen some old stylus tools that Stampin' Up! Used to sell, Maybe they will come back around. Well, now that our stylus is actually in our take your pick tool, I don't ever put that stylus in. I pull this guy out. So, oops, I got a lot of Wink of Stella on that flower. Can you have too much Wink of Stella? Yes, you can. And there's too much on that one. So I'm just going to blot it with a piece of paper for now. But I will tell you, if you get too much Wink of Stella on something, you can use your adhesive remover to erase it. Did you know that? You got to try it. Try it sometime. Okay, so there is the front. Okay, looking good, looking good. We have one more detail. Oh, no, sorry. We have a couple more details. Let's do the cork rounds. Let's add those to finish this up. The cork rounds, let's do a large. Now, these are interestingly placed on this card. I'll tell you about it. There's one. And you know, I like to do them in threes. I do 2 friends and a buddy down below. So here's my 2 friends close together. And I usually try and not make them line up. But in this case, where I wanted to put it for balance, they did line up. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to do it slightly. So I'm intentionally, this one is directly below it. Okay. So now let's open this. And a little bit more action to do here. Save your cork rounds. We'll use those for our next pickup class. But I'm going to use go back to these pecan, not the pecan rounds, faceted rounds, but these Lost Lagoon faceted rounds we'll put on this side here. And then we're also going to have a little bit of a happy birthday greeting on here on the inside. So I just wanted to add a little something to this. So I'm cutting out the happy birthday, a real quick and easy, and I'm just going to come up this other side so I have more to hold on to rather than cutting it across, is come in here and do a quick fussy cut of the happy birthday. We'll just snip this into 2. You could keep it as 1. But on this one, I did it in 2 pieces. It really depends. Maybe you have the vanilla and you need to do something a little bit different. But I'm just going to snip these in half like this. And you can glue these on or you can dimensional them on. I think I have these on with dimensionals. And so where do you find dimensionals that are that skinny? Is you just cut up the side of your minis here, just like this. Okay, cut one a little longer than the other. And just like that, you have the perfect little mini dimensionals for, is this the short one or the long one? I think they're both about the same. But look at that, just skinny little dimensionals. And on this one, I have it way down here, but I think on this one, I'm gonna come up a little higher just because of the nature of this one. Now, if you have the vanilla or you have the almond, you have some little flowers on yours. And so you'll notice that on this one, I did add a little color to these flowers. I don't think I'm going to add any color to the cacao because that's going to end up being too strong. But it's up to you. In fact, if you make your cards and want to share them and you've done something a little different, please do share. I think that's fun. We learn from one another. Okay. So I have this micro mini dot here, so small. And I'll do my happy birthday, just like that. You have a few more of these flowers, so let's add them. You should have 3 more flowers still. We'll play with these. So we're going to do the flowers and the opaque gems. I like having these peekaboo insides. It's almost like second card or second breakfast, whatever you want to call it. So same thing, I'm going to shape them in my hand. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to place them. You can see where I have them in my original. I have one by the greeting and then a couple up above. So let's just see what we're going to do here. So this is where you just kind of play with it a little bit. Maybe I do one out here, up here, there. No, I want it just a steeper angle. Maybe we'll accent the beans. Come out here a little bit. I think maybe something like that. So come in with your glue. Oh, I'm putting the petal in the glue and not the middle. It's like surgery, all these tiny little pieces. I'm still not convinced of my placement here. Oh, I like that. Okay. That one. Oh, my stars. Okay. So little. Get in there. And we'll do one here. So much for the, oh yeah, just put it down with your, this is where your putty end would work, but I forgot my putty end. And again, you can color those insides with your Fresh Freesia blend or with Wink of Stella or with both. And then last, let's add some Lost Lagoon faceted gems here. And I only did 2, but you could add as many as you want. So I'm just going to add one there. And let's see, I had another one kind of down over in here. But I feel like maybe, I don't know. See, if I add one there, then they're in a diagonal, a weird diagonal, and I don't like that. But let's see, maybe we do one. What if we go something like, and then we'll do one more. It's like, do I want the big or do I want the small? Maybe we have one up and over here. So you play with it where you want it. It's just to show you that, yeah, if you've got a different paper, it's not going to be the exact same layout. But there you have it. You could add a little color into these little blossoms if you wanted, if you have the cacao. But there it is. Let's take a look. There's the front, okay? And then we opened a second card and then to the inside. And if you wanted, you still have 2 more gems. You could place those on the inside. It's up to you. Have some fun and just, you know, or stash these in your bag for our lovely and sweet pickup class that will be in April. So, all right, let's just do a real quick review. We have our birthday card, which is my favorite. Then we have, and I haven't finished coloring this one, but we have our thank you card. Very elegant. And then we have more of a springy elegance with our first card. And I think make yours up. You will see how gorgeous and beautiful they are. Let me just show you the bonus card here real fast. And I think I'll do the stamping for you. It is super, super fast. You have out what you already are going to need. Bubble bath, ink, pecan pie, ink. Oops, that's copper clay. You could use copper clay or you could use pebbled taff. I'm going to use pecan pie. Okay. And we'll use my favorite image, which is the collage image. And this is going to be stamped in bubble bath right on the note card here. And just put that in the upper corner. Okay. That's the little bit of stamping there. Just to say hello. Just a little note to say hello. This is going to be stamped in pecan pie. If you remember, that was copper clay on there and I didn't want that. So this is just going to come across the bottom. Super easy, you guys. Super, super easy. And then on this scrap piece of paper that I've given you, you're going to stamp the leaf, this beautiful leaf. Stamp this in pecan pie. Okay, die cut it with your die, the open die from the Notes of Nature, and then you're going to add it to your card like so, and you have the 3 flowers that you can add to the card as well that were in your smalls bag, or your smalls envelope this time. Okay, and so those just add to it. So there you have it, the little bonus card. I think it's really cute. You can splatter it with Wink of Stella and zhuzh it up, but super, super simple. I think this is a fun sort of thing to tuck into a little package. You could even do just a little bit more stamping if you wanted on the envelope here. Let's see. You know, let's just do some collage. I've just got the envelope flap open, and then I'm gonna fold it this time. Well, no, I can keep it open. And I'm gonna do the pink again, but maybe what I'll do is reverse this, and instead of going up and down, we'll just kind of do something like that, okay? And then we can take the floral image, the little flower, if I can find it. It's right here. Let's give it a quick clean. And I'm gonna stamp this one. I'm gonna ink it up in pecan pie. And I'm gonna stamp off a little bit. And we're just gonna come in here to the sides. Just like so, all right? And then maybe with the splatter image, we will do just a little bit of pink to soften this side over here. Now, your leaf on mine, I actually colored my leaf in with my Pool Party blends. And I have to tell you what I did on that because it's kind of pretty. But there's that. Just simple little envelope for your note card. But I want to share what I did on my leaf here. I actually used, on my original, I used Pool Party and Soft Seafoam, which I forgot to bring out with me. And what I did is very subtle, but I went in here and I went every other color in between the vein. And it might have varied from side to side. I just went Pool Party, Soft Seafoam, and I varied it. And it's a very, very, you know, you can barely tell the difference. Oh, there's a good view of it. Okay, it's just kind of a fun, rather than just coloring it in, it's a little detail that you know, you might not notice or might not even be like, yeah, it's too much for me, but explore your coloring is the thought there. Okay, so there you have it, folks. You have a little bonus you can do with your little 3x3 to use up your envelope as well. Okay, that is now the very end of today's class. Thank you for being here. I sure appreciate it. And I will catch you guys tomorrow night on Zoom, 6:30 Mountain Time. It's a recap and chat. So, bye-bye.